Good morning, everybody out on YouTube. It is another episode of Chop Talk brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for all things DFS from MLB to NFL to maybe some of the other sports, PGA, MMA, NASCAR. We've got it all. 20 coaches, 40 staff, 1,500 plus members growing all the time this time of year. Always talking DFS 24/7 in our premium Slack chat channels. You need to become a VIP by going down to the comments section, clicking on also the like and subscribe buttons, but the link, dfsarmy.com, using coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P, and unlocking everything. All of these tools, all of these research stations, all of these optimizers for all of the sports, and of course, the Slack chat channels where we are constantly talking back and forth and helping you become a better player. Let's dive in this morning and talk a little bit about baseball, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the week that was and then the week that will be when it comes to football. I'm going to try and combine these two together. I don't know how much coverage I'm going to be doing in MLB at this point because we've got a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. But as far as MLB is concerned, we do have 2, 3, maybe 4 articles coming out by MDel, Thunder Dan, CG, Scotty B. They're all going to be covering their stacks, their hitters, their pitchers, and their slate coverage. Everything's going to be coming out to you today, so it's full-on coverage for MLB. Therefore, I'm not necessarily needed, and I can focus on other things that are more pressing on my schedule right now. That said, we can run through the process the old school way, the way we've been doing it all summer long, the way it was producing until we flipped the month to September and we got the call-ups getting in the way. So for that, take this for what it is, but we'll give you at least a gentle idea on the slate and where we're headed. I haven't looked at much yet, so these are the most fun for me to do. You get to hear my thoughts as they come into my head. We always start by going to the pitching tab. I wondered why that looked different. It was on the default batter matchups tab. And then we scroll over here to the pitchers. K percentage, there's an extra one added in there somewhere because it's not showing up on the main screen like it used to. That's very, very interesting. The margin, something's off a little bit. Anyway, we'll scroll that over just a touch. We'll bring all of the guys up to the top. Remember, we're looking for total batters faced, which is great. Small sample sizes like Castillo might be taken with a grain of salt if he's got a huge strikeout percentage like a 33% or something. 29.9, bring these guys. We're looking for big matchups in the opposite K versus handedness category. We're going to be looking for numbers over 450 to 500. Win it all possible. We see DeGrom, Kluber, Verlander. Godley might be in a decent spot. That's a 488, almost a 490. We got Happ at 480. I don't know that I'd mess with these couple here. 450 out of German Marquez. You're going to need to look into that because this is carrying over some of last year's numbers. I know Marquez has been pretty good this year. I haven't used him a lot myself because of these numbers, these numbers right here. And I've missed some very, very good starts by him. So double check that, as always. 450, probably nothing else below this. You're looking at DeGrom, Kluber, Verlander, Godley, Happ. Alex Wood's pretty much always in play. Probably a little German Marquez, although in Cincinnati you might get off of Wood. Newcomb pops out. Now I'm looking for names that I typically use. Wainwright, very GPP. Don't even know if he's all that stretched out. I know he had a good... It's whether or not the dude can keep his arm up and keep it healthy. It's not whether or not he's still a good pitcher because he's borderline. Father Time's catching him, and it's a shame. But, in a spot start, he is fresh. Maybe he comes back and lights the world on fire. Good GPP pick, but, man, I mean very, very GPP only. DeGrom priced up. Kluber priced down. Verlander probably about the same. See, this gap here is a couple of $1,000s. This one here is less than 1,000. Godley down. Ooh, that's a nasty price down. Look at that. Obviously, Coors Field. Ooh. Division rivals, though, I'd look for BVP. I'm not comfortable running a guy like that out in Coors Field. No. Happ priced down a little bit. Interesting. Marquez priced the same. Again, interesting. Let's slide over to the Vegas lines to see if those are in there yet this morning. Sometimes they take a little bit later in the morning to pop up. They're sort of there. No line on DeGrom or Kluber. Big line on Verlander. Happ has a little bit of a line. Alex Wood, of course. Nothing really popping out at me. Verlander in the minus 315, but man, he's been off a little bit lately. I still like the idea of DeGrom. let's do something different. Let's run to Vegas Insider, MLB odds, and let's see if that New York Mets game doesn't have a line on it. There it is, minus 300 for the Mets. That puts DeGrom firmly in play. 7 leaning to the under. If you guys don't know how to read this, I can show you some other time. But this one is favoring the under, and it's already low at a 7. I like it. Whoops. Whoops. There we go. DeGrom might be the leader on the slate. But it doesn't take that long. Your pivots might be Godley's risky. Verlander, Kluber don't. I mean, if I'm saving, I'm not looking to save money or spend up on this with DeGrom in a pretty good spot. His K score is a 52, a 520, and he's a minus 300 favorite out of Vegas. It ain't getting much better than that. And when I scroll over here to look at the DFSA grade, he's a 98. It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. So if you had to pivot, you could pivot to a Wood. You might take a little bit of a chance with the Marquez. But generally speaking, DeGrom's going to be your slate. Your GPP pivot might be a Verlander. In case DeGrom blows up and you might get Verlander a little bit lower ownership. Or certainly a Kluber. But I'm guessing your cash or hybrid, type pivots is going to be to save money, and you're going to have to come down here to probably Wood. With a little bit of caution because we're facing Cincinnati. Let's run over here and reverse these DFSA grades. Bring the crap to the top. You didn't know shit floated, did you? All right, under a 40, Cody Reed and better. So let's mark them down. Let me mark them down with you. LA, Washington, KC, St. Louis, Philly, Pittsburgh, Chicago Cubbies, and Houston. Houston draws the crappiest pitcher on the slate. Old as the hills, Francisco Liriano. Look at this. Wainwright's not matching up well in our little pool here, but that's also because Wainwright's been hurt. So I don't know. I might handle it. Pittsburgh's been kind of hot lately. They're back to 500. Yeah, I can see it. I can see you stacking against him for sure. Let's run over here, hit the high implied odds. Opponent's runs. Go by descending. A lot of no-liners here. That's going to stink. So we'll take, say, the top 4 teams down to Gibson. Boy, if Gibson's at home, you got to watch him too. Yeah, he's at home. Got to watch him. Houston, Colorado, LA, Yankees. Sorry, I'm writing a little sloppy trying to be quick for you guys. So LA Dodgers and the Yankees. See, I wrote that down as the LA Angels. That's because I'm just a silly goof right now. All right, Houston, Colorado, LA Dodgers, New York Yankees. Now we scroll over, look for the double red. Down to about here, scroll over. Ooh, juicy, juicy, juicy section there. And then one up top. So Giolito all the way up to Wainwright. Kansas City, San Francisco, New York Yankees, White Sox, Arizona, Pittsburgh. And then up to the top to Fetty, that's Philly. And there was one more in there, but it was only a 306. Wade Miley. Well, that's the Dodgers. No, the Cubs. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Homer Bailey. Get those two confused. Put the Cubbies on that list. Now let's go checking boxes. I see LA Dodgers 2, Washington 1, Kansas City 2, St. Louis 1, Philly 2, Pittsburgh twice, Chicago Cubs twice, Houston twice. I don't think we don't have any 3-star offenses today. So LA Dodgers, Kansas City Royals, Phillies, Pittsburgh Pirates, Cubs, and Houston. Those are the offenses I'd be keying on. Let's kick over to the Trends tab. Let's quickly show you this. We'll jump into some NFL stuff. So I take that L7 WOBA and I go greater than 350. I sort by descending just to bring them to the top that way too. But number filters greater than 350. And we're going to go sifting through those offenses in the better spots today, and we're going to see what this doesn't produce for us. See who we can't find that are the hot bats inside the offenses in the best spots. And we start with the LA Dodgers. A lot of them. Woo! Taylor. Hold on. Wow, am I out of the loop? If David Freese is a Dodger, I am so far out of the loop. And 2,200 on Fanduel? Man, that's nice. Cody Bellinger, Yasiel Puig, Justin Turner. The ones I'd be focused on, of course, Bellinger, Turner, Kiki, Machado. They're all okay, and then I'd throw in some of these bats like a Chris Taylor or something up top. They're pretty much all in play tonight, except for the ones that are not on this list. They're pretty much all in play. I think you can rest assured there. Let's check KC out. An LA Dodgers KC stack would be fun, wouldn't it? O'Hearn, maybe a little Mondesi. Interesting. Philadelphia playables, another big list. LA Dodgers and Philly. Right now, tons of combos running out of those offenses. Santana, Cabrera, Hoskins, Little Caesar, Ramos. My God, that's 5 bats right there, and that's only the guys that are getting at bats. Run over to Pittsburgh, and we should see a David Freeseless Pittsburgh Pirates. Adam Frazier, Polanco, Josh Bell. Those 3. Those are your big 3. Cubbies, Rizzo, Schwarber, Caratini. There you go. Lots of bats to choose from today, guys. Houston, what we got? Bregman. If McCann gets a start. Gonzalez, Maldonado, maybe. Gurriel, Springer, White. Maybe not White. Barely makes the cut at 351. But you've got 3 or 4 off of most of the teams, and then a couple of Kansas Cities you can sprinkle in. If I'm doing this, I'm probably sticking to the Phillies and the Dodgers. Maybe Houston, since they're facing the worst pitcher on the slate by the DFS grade. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, hit these 8 o'clock games, and then hit these 10 o'clock games. And I'm going to do that process again. And then I'm going to decide which slate I feel like I have the best shot on. And I'm going to play either the big slate, probably not, or the smaller slates, being that we have a very full slate of games. I'll probably be on the smaller slates if I play tonight. And when I do, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to run that same process again. Find that best pitcher. Find those bats that are in good spots against those pitchers, and then find the hot bats inside the offenses. And because I've got, only 5, 6 offenses to choose from, might only pick 2 that I really, really like. I've really narrowed that down, and I've got a much better shot at being correct than if I'm out there and I've got 8 offenses and I've narrowed it down to 6. See, I've narrowed it down to 6 offenses on this main slate, and the bottom line there is while that's great, and those are probably in good spots, there's still a large, large, large margin for error in a round ball, round bat game with a lot of variance and volatility in it. That's why you guys, you contact me and you say, man, this baseball thing sucks. It's not working anymore. So, well, of course it's not. It's variance. It will work again. It's just not working right now because you have so many people to choose from. You still can't hit it quite perfect because there are just too many combinations to cover the bases on. So you go down to those smaller slates and you got a much better chance at covering the bases correctly with no margin for error. And then you go let the other people that are taking unnecessary risk fuck up around you and you scoop the money. Let that sink in for a minute. Rewind it and listen to it again if you have to. But that's why you become a little bit more profitable player. You center yourself around people that are still making mistakes, and you put yourself on a slate where you shouldn't be making those mistakes. And your edge goes up. That's the kind of coaching we do at DFSArmy.com. That's the kind of stuff we talk about with our players and our members. And we talk in more depth about it, and we explain a little bit more as to why, and then how to find them even deeper than what we're doing out here on this video. So again, you got to go down there and click the link in the comment section. Let's jump into baseball a little bit. I want to show you, I want to do something on Mondays called, my wishbone has top 3s in it, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, whatever. Why don't we recap it and show the 3 things that went right and 3 things that went wrong? It's very, very easy this week. When we talk about quarterbacks, I'm showing the higher fantasy points, guys, because I just want to show it 3 things that went wrong. I'm not calling Ryan Fitzpatrick something that went wrong. He should not have been on your radar anyway, except in the deepest of GPPs, in which case everybody's kind of viable because shit like this happens. He had a great game, at the game of his life. He's not a good quarterback. He's been in the league 13 years. He's been on 7 different teams. He's not a good quarterback. He'd be on the same team. They'd keep him. But he had the game of his life, and hats off to the great bearded one. Because to be quite honest with you, factoring into 5 touchdowns, 4 throwing and 1 rushing is phenomenal. But that doesn't mean we picked wrong because we didn't have him. You certainly wouldn't have run him in cash. He wasn't safe. That said, he went off. Drew Brees was safe. That's one call we made right. I mean, that wasn't like super chalky, super cash lock, whatever. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Kirk Cousins were some names that were being bandied about. Phillip Rivers. Those are names that Aaron Rodgers, if you're on the bigger slate, those are names that were kind of being thrown around. Calling Drew Brees as the cash quarterback worked. He was the second most point scoring quarterback on the slate. Did great. Tom Brady was safe, had a floor. Don't worry about him so much. Kirk Cousins didn't kill you. No big deal. So that's one thing that went right. Let's look at one that went wrong. I told my guys to fade Kamara, and I told them the reason why was we're not getting a lot of touches. I mean, if you look, 8 rushing attempts and 9 receiving, 9 targets or 9 receptions. That's only 17 touches. That's not a cash safe workload. It's not. And there was a chance that he was only going to get, 16, 17 is about what they said. But when he's been averaging about 12, 13 up to this point, you're kind of gambling a little bit on him. If this game gets blown out and New Orleans is just blowing them out, Gillislee's getting the workload and Kamara's touches stop at 12. The thing is, Kamara did such damage even on his 12 touches. The dude is amazingly efficient. We know that. I recommended gambling and saying, no, I did not feel that his floor was cash safe because I don't believe that those big plays are sustainable. Look, 9, 1, 12, and 1, that's fine. That doesn't kill you in cash games. You've got other options to do something similar to that. What killed you was the 2 rushing TDs on only 29 yards. I mean, shit, that guy was getting goal line work. That's what Gillislee was for, and nobody in the world can tell you they knew Kamara was going to get goal line work because he doesn't have a history of getting goal line work. So anyway, I'm not saying that I got that right, or I'm saying that the thought process was justified, but dudes, I mean, missed that one hardcore. I don't mind it. I knew why I was doing it. I still hit all of my cash games without him anyway, somehow. I have no idea how. He was a slate breaker. Should have been absolutely required with him and James Conner. Oh my God, that was the combo yesterday. You have those two. There's no way you missed cash. But going forward, I'm going to pay even more attention to the opportunity. This week I may even recommend getting off of Kamara again because it's just going to attract more and more people to him. His ownership's going to go up. When his ownership's going to go up even higher in tournaments, the fade is warranted because it doesn't have to happen all that often for you to get paid in spades and be right. That's the whole idea of leverage and ownership that people hopefully understand these days, but sometimes they overplay, they overrate it. But this is the type of guy we're talking about doing it with. He's going to be super chalky. I still don't know that he's cash safe. I mean, you can't argue the production though, so it literally gives me nightmares at night because I want it to be right so bad because I know what the numbers are telling me, but it's wrong every freaking time because the dude is so massively efficient. One of these days it'll work, but I can't hold on to doing this 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks saying fade Kamara, fade Kamara, fade Kamara, fade Kamara. He's not cash safe. He's not, and then have him put up shit like this because he's defying the odds. He might be cash safe. At some point, we've got to just go ahead and say, well, shit, I guess he's the exception to the rule. He is cash safe with that light a workload. Anyway, what else did we get right? Of course, we got James Conner right. I think the industry got James Conner right. That's not bragging about anything. Melvin Gordon, we were talking about on the later slates. Great pick. That one went right. How about Chris Thompson, Washington? They look good. Joe Mixon, I wasn't on. I was not a Mixon truther. I might be one soon. Looking down here, who else did we get wrong? We got David Johnson wrong. God, it might be a rough year for him. He's reminding me of Todd Gurley of 2 years ago. So is Ezekiel Elliott, honestly. Where's Ezekiel? Well, they're both side by side. They're both workhouse bell cow backs, but they're on teams with bad offensive lines. I can't say that Dallas is a bad offensive line, but they're on teams that are so one-dimensional right now. Sam Bradford is not going to really be a GPP winning quarterback very often. Of course, as I say that, we all laugh because Ryan Fitzpatrick was one, and I'd take Sam Bradford over Ryan Fitzpatrick every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So, shit happens. But when I'm looking at David Johnson, what worries me is that they're going to only worry about stopping him. It should play into Larry Fitzgerald's hands, and it was nice to see him spread the ball around a little bit. They do have dimensions, so maybe I'm overblowing it on week one a little bit, but it's something to watch. The reason it's worth watching is because David Johnson's going to be pretty high priced. You can't make that mistake for those kind of bucks in your salary cap. Ezekiel Elliott is Todd Gurley 2 years ago because they have really nothing else around him, and they don't have a quarterback that knows, that really takes. He's not even Alex Smith. Alex Smith, tends to throw more than that, and that's fine. That's not the way their team is built. The problem right now is they need some kind of balance because right now you can just throw it right in, put 9 guys in the box, bring coach out on the field and stick him in the box and try and stop Ezekiel Elliott. And for the most part, you've got a huge chance at winning the game because the Dallas isn't going to be able to do much else. That's what you get a little bit extra weapons like they did out in LA, and boom, Todd Gurley is a monster. Ezekiel Elliott could be a monster and could lead the league in fantasy production, if things go right for him, but he needs help on that offense. So those are two things that, David Johnson went wrong. Ezekiel Elliott was a GPP play anyway, as we called it. Looking at the wide receivers really quick, Mike Thomas went right. Tyreek Hill went wrong. I should have said, dude, I don't think he's necessarily cash safe for the exact same reasons. 7 receptions. He obviously was targeted, 8, 9 times. If I see that another time or two, that's great. You're not going to be able to depend on the 169 and 2 every week. But this is the number I'm looking for is the receptions. Look at Michael Thomas, 16 receptions. I don't know how many times he was targeted, but good Lord. That's cash safe. And that was a correct call. Deshaun Jackson, you're never going to 5 receptions, 150 and 2. You're never going to be able to figure. Oh, there's your targets right there. 8 targets, 17 freaking targets. It's insane. I mean, and that's not normal, but dude, good. It tells me that the ball is being fed into his hands repeatedly. Cash safe. Cash safe, Emmanuel Sanders. We called that. That went right. Randall Cobb, good to see. I loved seeing that in the box score. Julio Jones, that went wrong. If you remember back on Tuesday, Wednesday, I was telling you Julio Jones, overrated. I don't mind saying overrated because just like a Tyreek Hill or a Deshaun Jackson or whatever, he's going to get those games. That's the type of player he is. T.Y. Hilton, A.J. Green, those are but he's not Antonio Brown. Now, if they've changed, and while you're laughing at me, hear me out. If they have changed their offense and have decided that they're going to force him the ball like they are Michael Thomas in New Orleans, then I will quickly change my tune and tell you Julio Jones is cash safe and a premium play and everything else. But until they do that, they have 5, 6, 7, 8 forgotten weeks a year where Julio Jones doesn't even get but a few looks. And that is retarded by the Atlanta staff. They should be fixing that because Julio is a premium talent. There's no denying that. But strictly with my DFS goggles on, it's nuts to play this guy in cash games until you see those targets get consistently over 8 to 10 a game. Hopefully that clarifies where I come from and where I stand on that because I got questions, and that's fine. Question me all you want. I'm just telling you, he's a great GPP guy. He's going to have 2 or 3 monster games every year. Yes, I know positive touchdown regressions coming his way, but I'm also going to tell you that until his targets come up, his floor is not there. Therefore, he is a GPP only guy, not cash. He's overrated as a cash play. That's the disclaimer I should have put on Julio Jones last week. Anywho, Mike Evans, let's hope he gets more targets than this. 7 isn't enough for him. He produced with them. Looking down the Odell Beckham in a tough matchup. That was awesome to see. They're just going to force the ball to him. He's a great play. These guys getting double-digit targets, man. I mean, even down here, Demaryius Thomas, that's interesting to see. Jarvis Landry, of course. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs is not, he may be the number one preferred target, but Adam Thielen is check down Charlie. So he's going to be a Jarvis Landry type where he just gets fed the ball in short distance stuff, Golden Tate type. Those are great scenarios. T.Y. Hilton targeted 11 times, only caught 5. Why? His A dot is a little bit deeper. DeAndre Hopkins, of course, is going to find better matchups than he had last week. So these are really, we were pretty much right on the money with these. Tight ends. Gronk, nailed it. Nailed it. I know it's not a real reach to say that, but when so many people pay down for tight end to pay up at wide receiver, nailed it with Gronk. Knew he was going to have a big week. I was surprised he got this few targets. Thought he was going to get 10 to 12 easy. Disley comes out of nowhere. Ebron, Reed, Kittle, Doyle, Delaney Walker got hurt, obviously. Benjamin Watson, disappointment. Missed that one. Kyle Rudolph sort of salvaged it with the touchdown, but only 2 targets. Ugh, need to see more than that. I missed that one. You know, you can't be results oriented in this game. The touchdown is a fluke. Tight ends don't have a lot of touchdown equity. They may score 6 or 8 on the year, but it seems like some weeks they get 2, so a lot of weeks they get none. So he's not a safe, cash viable tight end right now. 2 targets ain't going to get it done. I don't care if he scores on both of them. You can't depend on these touchdowns. You've got to depend on the targets. So I could say he was a miss. Defense, Baltimore, nailed it. Everybody in the world nailed it. James Conner. I mean, we all nailed some of the real obvious stuff. A lot of you nailed Kamara when I was telling you to get off him. But like I said, I was intentionally going against the grain. Vikings, GPP pick, awesome. Jaguars, GPP pick, awesome. On the late slate, hopefully used Panthers as a GPP pick. That one worked out for you. Down here a little bit more. Okay, looks like we're fine. All right, there's your review. Went through some of the good, some of the bad. 3 best, 3 worst. Didn't really label them as a 3 best or 3 worst, but I think you saw we have more than 3 that we hit right. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you when I hit them wrong. Not at all worried about that. Let's call up a real quick look and wrap it up and get out of here. We're bumping up on 30 minutes. We can get this done in 5. Baltimore on Thursday night game, Thursday fade. Baltimore, Cincinnati. I mean, a lot of people are going to play it. It's going to be over. That's fine. But I won't be on that slate. I'm probably going to be on the 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. slates again. So I probably won't even look at that game. Washington, Indianapolis, low total here, decent total here. Washington looked pretty good, 5.5 point spread. Don't know where that's going to mean for Adrian Peterson, Chris Thompson, whatever. I hate committees. Jordan Reed looks like he's going to be a primary target for Alex Smith. So quite honestly, when Jordan Reed is healthy, he's going to be playable in cash. Atlanta, Carolina. Ooh, at Atlanta. This is interesting. You want a GPP pick? Atlanta defense. Low under total, under 20 total. 4.5 point favorite. Cam Newton prone to turning the ball over. Got a pretty good floor when he's running, a little bit of ball control, but when he starts slinging it and he's off on a day, he's really, really off. Throw that ball right into Atlanta's hands. Atlanta is a sneaky little GPP defensive play. Now, what are we going to do with Julio? I don't know. I want to wait and see a little bit. I'm not ready to call him cash safe. I mean, obviously, hell of a GPP play. Christian McCaffrey should work in his favor, especially with Olsen being gone. If Olsen doesn't come back, he was in a boot. That pisses me off because I've got him in season long. But Christian McCaffrey, and it might be an interesting little stack to run Newton and McCaffrey because this looks like Newton's going to be slinging it. You know, I don't think Atlanta's an elite defense, of course, but it does work in their favor if Newton slings it to Falcon jerseys. But he should be dumping off quite a bit to McCaffrey, getting him in space because the game flow dictates as such. You know, your Funchess and your other guys are going to be flyer type plays. The only thing you can really count on is McCaffrey's going to get his targets. No total on this game, Green Bay, Minnesota. We'll reserve judgment for that one. LA Chargers, Buffalo, cash lock defense. Very, very low total, lowest on the week. We just saw what Baltimore did to him. Big spread. Gordon. Defense. Cash. Cash safe. No total here. Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Tyreek the Freak. Good Lord. Golly, that guy was crazy. I mean, That he might be as efficient as freaking Kamara. At Pittsburgh, Ben should be better. Everybody's gonna be on Connor. I have no idea what his price jumped to. It should jump to 7,000 or so. That'll get some people off of him. But with that workload, it's still a value at that price range. Antonio Brown, of course. Juju Schuster, maybe. Probably more of a GPP type of play. Although Kansas City's defense sucks, man. God, they're bad. Bad, bad. Juju Schuster might be a cash safe play. Jesse James might be a cash safe play. I don't know yet. But on the flip flop, Mahomes and Tyreek are going to be slinging it. Watch for that little bit of a committee starting to form. And Andy Reid just bugs me. While he's really showing, you know, some genius offensive mind play calling type stuff, he tends to forget about his studs once in a while. This does not bode well for Kareem Hunt. Travis Kelce will have to look at. I don't think Kelce had a lot of targets. If Tyreek gets 7 targets again, I wouldn't count on him scoring twice, but man, I'd count on him putting up some production. No line or pick'em game, no total here. Jets, Miami. That's two bad defenses lead to a good game. That's a good GPP game stack. Philly at Tampa. Well, Tampa's secondary is bad. Philly's defense is in play, even on the road. 3-point favorite. Should be looking at Ertz, Aguilar types for sure. New Orleans added again, highest game total of the week. Team total, Cleveland. I don't know that New Orleans defense is in play. Cleveland looked pretty good. Vegas may be a little slow to react on this. Maybe they're not going to quite be so bad. But New Orleans is way up there in their team total. 8-point spread. That's a Kamara day. That's a Gillislee type day. It's going to be another Mike Thomas day. And probably, I don't know about another Drew Brees day. I don't know how much throwing they're going to need to do, but they are in the dome. I think people are going to like him. I know they're going to love Kamara. That one remains to be seen. How much we want to chase points. I mean, it's a good spot to chase, though. So initially, I'd say yes. LA Rams, Todd Gurley is going to be a machine in this one. I know it depends on tonight for the game total and whatnot, but good Lord, against Arizona, Todd Gurley. Don't know. There's another one. It might be a couple of mediocre teams, might lead to a good game. Don't really know what I'm going to do with San Francisco. Probably don't like them that much. Detroit's interesting. Need to watch them play out. New England at Jacksonville, tough spot for New England too. Woo. Jacksonville, New England probably going to worry about taking away Fournette. Let it ride on Bortles' shoulders. You might get some garbage time out of Bortles, Keelan Cole, D.D. Westbrook types. Yeldon might be interesting. I don't know what I need to look at DVP to see if it's another Gronk type week. They might get to see. This is the thing. What Jacksonville, the elite defense, is going to do is tend to squash the ceilings. And when you got the floor, but the ceilings are lower, it gets a little bit tougher to really rely on these guys for cash because they don't have both floor and upside. And the prices you're going to have to pay for these guys, that gets tough to call because you're going to be likely overpaying for their production when it's all said and done because they just don't have the ceiling to make themselves valuable. And then on top of that, one guy I might chase a little Chris Hogan. Although I don't know where he's going to line up against Jacksonville's elite corners, but just banking on a bounce back type situation, he's a GPP play. It's a tough GPP play to make, though. Got to take some real big balls to do that one. Denver, Oakland. Oakland's figures to be a train wreck. We'll see what happens tonight. Denver, maybe it's another Keenum day. We love Emmanuel Sanders. If Demaryius Thomas is focused in there, that's really about all they got. They got a couple of running backs that they're going to wish and wash, with Freeman and who was it, C.J. Anderson or whatever types. So that's a committee. But I'm looking at how you're going to target these guys. GPP pick might be the tight end in Denver because Oakland typically is bad against tight ends. Dallas, New York Giants is Odell Beckham day. Saquon Barkley again. Don't know that it's going to be a Zeke day. They may force Dak to beat him. So it's tough. We're going to have to see how this stuff plays out. But that's just a quick look, just an initial rundown. We're at 35 minutes. Let's go ahead and cut it off here and scram. You saw a little bit of how we do things, what we're looking for. When it comes to content and stuff, you need to follow me on Twitter. You need to follow me on YouTube. Click the like and the subscribe button. You need to, when we talk to baseball, that's fine. We're really focused on football right now. But other content we have at DFS Army is really, really simple. PGA, NASCAR, MMA, all starts coming out late week. We have links to our Slack members when we have all of our content on one single page so that you can find it all in one handy dandy place. It's a very, very efficient way. It's Kamara efficient way to get you guys all the content that you guys deserve and that you guys are subscribing to. So we do appreciate that. We appreciate the members. Let's talk a little bit more in Slack. Let's see how this slate starts to shape up. I'll be talking a little bit more Wishbone tomorrow, and we'll get a better look when the Monday night games are done and the lines come out. We'll get a little better look at where we're going to go. But that'll basically wrap it up for Chop Talk today. Thanks for paying attention. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget, dfsarmy.com, coupon code CHOP, CHOP, and we will talk to you soon. Later, guys.